We have finally made it to Facebook Live. We are so glad to be here. It's so great to have those of you that are going to be joining us tonight. I already see Josephine on here.
Hey, Josephine.
Great to see you. Cassandra, so glad that you could join us tonight. Thank you so much.
And Fred. And Roxy.
Roxy. Hey.
Wow.
Some pretty special people watching already.
Nice
Janice,
to see
great
you
to see you.
guys.
Please give us a thumbs up if the sound is working and the lighting is fine. You can see, you can hear, because we want to make sure that this is very interactive. So we want to be sure that you can hear us. So glad that you could join us.
Glinda,
so glad you could be with us, Glinda. You could be, Glinda could actually be teaching.
She could be teaching.
You could do this whole thing yourself. We're so glad that you could join us. This is our first time to do Facebook Live, and we're hoping that we're going to get lots of engagement from you. So please do.
We are. We've got our older kids putting our toddler to bed, so hopefully there will be no interruptions, no doors bursting open. I have locked the door just in case as well, so it should be okay.
I can see my dad is on here. So glad to see my dad.
Aw, hey, Lindsay.
Thanks, Dad, for coming and giving us some support. Lindsay Reed. Yay. Hello, Lindsay. So glad you're here. Sean and Lindsay. Wonderful.
Hey, Janice. Guys, welcome.
So as you can see, as we go through tonight, we will be looking at your comments because we're going to be addressing your questions. So we're going to be looking down every once in a while, then we'll come back to you and tell you the things that we want to share with you. Glinda says whatever. I think that's a comment about her being able to be here and do it all on her own. But she could, her and Mark, wonderful parents of 4 amazing kids.
Yeah, they
so
are
grateful.
Amazing.
Glad that it's all working.
Yes, it's all working. Okay, that's good. We're just going to wait a few more minutes and then we'll get started. We want to keep it fairly short, so kind of 25 minutes.
Yeah, 25, 30
Max,
minutes. We know many of you are busy. You're probably just now getting your children to bed as well. So we know that it's a crazy time for you, so we will keep it fairly brief, but we do want to make sure that we answer your questions. And we will be back next week. So if we don't get to your questions, we want to make some space for those in the following week. So let's give it just a few more minutes. And while we're waiting, why don't we just tell you a little bit about us and what our hopes are for these sessions over the next few weeks and things like that. You want to intro our family, Megan? You want to tell them?
I will. I think most of you that are on now, I think know us fairly well. But we're Drew and Megan. We've got 5 amazing kids: Jonas, Eden, Dea, Anya, and Keo. And so we are in kind of the throes of teenage years. We got 4 teenagers, and then we've got a toddler. So that has been an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, the whole full range.
We got the full range.
We almost have our 20-year-old all the way down
That's
to
true.
He'll be 5 in August.
Yes.
So we are going through the full range.
Yeah.
At the moment.
So we're enjoying it. We love parenting. We feel very passionate about it. And so we're really excited to be able to have some opportunities and space for just discussion. And we want it to be really interactive tonight. So we are going to be speaking very briefly about some things that are on our hearts, but we want to leave a lot of space for just questions, discussions. If we can't answer the question, maybe someone else who's online with us can. And I think just to know that we are in this parenting thing together. And
very good.
Yeah, so we're here to support each other and also just get encouragement and ideas from each other as well.
Just taking just seeing here, Fred says, love the new name. Fred, thank you. So you've noticed
Fred,
that we have rebranded. I was doing a lot of things under the banner drewland.org because it was really just an extension of my passion for discipleship. But Megan has come on board so much more, and even Jonas has been helping us, and so it's kind of growing what we're doing. And so we decided to rebrand it to Heart-Shaped Ministries. And let me just tell you a little bit about Heart Shape Ministries, and you can already go check the website if you want. But and I'll show you now, heartshapeministries.com is now going, and so we're busy updating it all the time. And Heart Shape Ministries is meant to be more than just about parenting. It's really about discipleship. It's about the big areas of life that God wants to transform in all of us. So your identity, as well as your parenting, marriages, money, the big areas of life that God wants to get a hold of. So Heart Shape Ministries is diving into all of those things. So be sure and check that out. But I'm so glad, Fred, that you like the name. We are quite excited about it. And a shout out, you can see the logo just right here. Shout out to Tori Roberts, who did that for us. Full Stop Designs. She did a fantastic job. So please, thank you, Tori, for your hard work on our new logo. So we are very, very excited as well about that. And I wanted to show you a picture of our kids. Megan was talking about our kids, and I realized that we have a picture. There they are. There's the whole family.
The whole family.
So as Megan mentioned, Jonas there, and the two boys in our laps, and then the three girls. Eden in the middle is the oldest girl, and then Dea and Anya and Ko, our little one. So that's a little bit about who we are. Perhaps it might be best to share a little bit of our parenting philosophy and some of the ways that we look at parenting, the overarching idea, as it were, that all of our parenting strategies and what we do falls under. And maybe we could talk a little bit about that and then open it up to some Q&A to you. The reason the philosophy is so important for us is because it touches on, it helps us to think beyond the moment in the situation that we're trying to get a hold of and go into where real change happens. As you can see, our whole branding is heart-shaped. Heart-shaped parenting, heart-shaped ministries. And the reason we've done that, and specifically, is because we want to go after in our children what God goes after in us, which is our hearts. So he goes after our hearts and he sees transformation from the inside out. That's the way God does parenting for us. And that's the approach that you have to take for your kids. So we're not just trying to get outward conformity, outward behavior. We actually want to transform their hearts. We want to shape their hearts. That's why everything we've done talks about shaping their hearts. One of the things that you can do, even that I actually haven't mentioned yet, is that we have just released online courses, on-demand courses, 2 of them that you can get a hold of at heartshapeministries.com. If you click the e-course button there, you can see our 2 courses. And one is Shape Your Child's Heart for Life, and the other is Shape Your Child's Heart for Success. And again, you can see that we're talking about shaping their heart for and towards something. And that's what we want to do in all cases with our kids. Both of those courses, if you go, by the way, and you've heard about it now on Facebook Live, you can type in Facebook and you can get them half off. All of those courses, if you type in as a coupon sell there, just type in the word Facebook and you can get them half off. The first 25 will get half off of all those courses. So please do check that out. Heart-shaped means that you're not just parenting for that moment. You're parenting for the long haul. That has really shaped the way that we approach things. Let me give you an example of when I didn't do heart-shaped parenting. In fact, you're probably going to hear a lot of our mistakes as we go along, because don't we learn from our mistakes? Anya was about 6 years old, and I went into the pantry. We had this big kind of walk-in pantry, this, where we store our food. And I went into the pantry, and there she was with peanuts dropping from her fingers and onto the floor. And she was 6. And so I say to her, I just lay into her at that moment, because I'm thinking that she is sneaking the peanuts. So it's
not even chocolate or anything. It's just peanuts.
It's just peanuts. But I'm thinking she's sneaking the peanuts. So now she is disobeying the rules here, and I'm just gonna sort her out. And so I basically jump down her throat, and she can't get a word out because I'm just jumping down her throat. And what happened, she starts crying and everything, and as finally, whenever I stop, she says through tears, "Dad, I wasn't taking the peanuts. I was picking them up off the floor because they had fallen, and I was trying to put them back on the shelf." And now I just melt. I'm just feeling absolutely horrified. I'm terrified. I'm just like thinking, I can't believe I'm damaging this kid, and she's trying to help. Now, in that moment, I've got to fix this behavior in mind. If I want to shape her heart in mind, what I would have done is ask questions first. When you have someone's heart in mind, you don't start with assumptions, you don't start with statements, you start with questions because you're wanting to shape their hearts. It goes beyond just trying to sort the issue out. And so that has really shaped us. That's really been our parenting philosophy. And I know it's kind of, if you start parenting with that in mind, you'll start to see practically how it plays out. Because you'll go into a situation, and as soon as you think, wait a minute, I'm here to shape their heart. I don't want just outward conformity. Because listen, you can get outward conformity. You can. I mean, if you yell enough, the kids are going to be like, I don't want you to yell anymore, so I'll just do what you want. But whenever you're not there, they won't do what you want. They will do the opposite because they're conforming in order to get a reaction or to not get a reaction from you. But when you shape their hearts, they start to be the people that you want them to be, even when you're not there. And it transforms the way you think about everything. When you go into the situation, you're not just thinking, sort this out. You're thinking, okay, I want to shape their heart, so I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to listen. A heart-shaped mindset says I'm going to listen first. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. It shapes your understanding so that you're really wanting to see what's going on in their hearts and not just why they've done or what they're doing, but why they've done it. Where does this come from? It brings compassion, and it really starts to shape everything you do.
And I think, like for anything, when we don't have a goal, when we don't know where we're going in something, sometimes we're just trying to get through the day. And I think often in parenting, and we experience this and feel this as well, you're actually just trying to survive the day. You're not thinking about the long term. And I think for us, what's been so helpful is to continually come back to what is actually our goal.
Yeah, what is your goal?
What are we doing? What is the end goal? Because that will impact the small things that you do every day. And the ways, in small or not so small ways, that we interact and that we react to our children. And it's in those daily small acts which eventually is what actually builds a life, it builds a destiny. And so what we want is we want to know, what is the goal of our parenting? Where are we going? So for us, we're going for connection, heart connection with our children, and we're going for shaping their hearts for the long term. It's very easy to exchange shaping their hearts for the long term for just immediate peace in the home. We all do that. We all understand that. It's so difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think if you know where you're going with your children and that the goal is the long term and shaping their hearts for the long term, it will impact the little ways that we build into their lives every single day. And that's what we want. We want to sow into their lives for the long haul.
Great. So if you want to know more about those things, you can always check out our stuff at heartshapeministries.com. The book, everything we're going to be talking about, most of the things that we talk about are going to be in that book, found in that book. If you don't have a copy, you can get that at the website. It is our parenting book. But we have had a question given to us before we even came live. So someone sent in a question already, so we're going to answer that question. But right now, if you'll start putting your questions up on the screen, we'd love to engage with you in real time here, so please start doing that. But Megan, do you want to share a little bit about what the question was?
So we had a friend who was just saying how a lot of the parenting courses and things you go to are so focused on younger kids. And I think that's a big area, trying to get through those younger years. And she just said there's not a lot focused on how do you transition into kind of the preteen and then the teenage years, because it changes so much. And so you can have all this input on getting through the kind of the younger years, and then all of a sudden you hit the preteen years, and it's different. It's completely different. So how do you navigate that?
That's
just such a good question.
Let's just unmask that friend. That friend was Lindsay Reed right there. So Lindsay,
good question, Lindsay.
Good question. Lindsay's here to see the answer to that question.
So I think it's such a good question. And I think we've found over and over again, you feel like you kind of get on top of something with your children and with your parenting, and then all of a sudden it shifts and changes again. And I think in the teenage years, there's a definite shift that needs to happen in your parenting. And I think we realized it sometimes when they were already further along in their teenage years, that actually we have to shift how we look at them. We have to shift how we connect with them, because our goal all throughout their lives is connection, is heart connection, relational connection. And the way you connect with the primary school child is going to be different than how you connect with a teenager. So that's going to have to shift. And also in how you spend time with them. So time is such a huge part of parenting well. And again, with the younger kids, it's a different way that you spend time. And when they hit the teenage years, you often find sometimes that time is withdrawn, or their desire to be in your space can be a little bit different. They can withdraw or go to their rooms. They kind of want their own space more, their own friendships. And I think learning how to find that connection time, you have to think outside the box and be creative. And it changes.
Yeah, I mean, I even had that experience this week. So my son is 19, going on 20, and what he really loves to do is games. So he loves video games, and there's this one game that he loves to play called Brawlhalla. And so he comes to me and he says, "Dad, you want to play this game? I can teach you how to play it." And now I'm not such a big video game person, but I really enjoy being with him. And I really wanted time to be with him. And seeing this as an opportunity to connect in the way that he would connect, I was like, yes, let me do that. Let's do it. And so I've spent probably a good, hour and a half over the last few days playing this game with my son, and he's been teaching me, and we're having this great bonding time. Now, I'd love to take him out surfing or do something else potentially, but actually the truth is that this is special time. But I'm having to learn how to engage in the way that he wants to engage, and then I end up really enjoying it as well. We've really discovered that as the kids get older, and you do start noticing they do seem to not want to engage with you as much. That's what appears. The truth is that they need that engagement just as much as they did when they were toddlers. In the preteen and teenage years, they need that engagement. They don't necessarily feel it as strongly as they did then, because they just wanted a playmate and just spend time with me. They need that engagement. And you might have to do, it shifts, like whenever you're a child, when the child's a toddler, they're demanding the time from you, and you're having to fight for your time. And then it shifts, and you start demanding and wanting time from them, and they're trying to fight for their time. And you have this kind of crossover, this shift that happens. And recognizing when that shift starts to happen, what ways are they starting to engage with you in a different kind of way? And seizing those opportunities and maximizing those opportunities in that moment, because you have to keep the connection. And the quantity of time starts to be, it doesn't necessarily need to change that much. So you still have lots of quantity time that you're going for. But the quality shifts from just simply playing together to engaging. I think in the preteen years, you're looking to engage in a little bit more of a meaningful, a building kind of way. And then in the teen years, it's really more in a listening, friendship kind of way. So we're doing more friendship stuff where I'm listening a lot more, and it takes a lot different kind of parenting.
Yeah.
when they're toddlers, you just need to be there and play. You know, you grab the trucks and you just, yay, we're playing with the trucks. When they're teenagers, you do a lot more listening, a lot more questions. Remember I mentioned questions. They become really key in the teenage years. But finding those moments of engagement in the way that they're doing is important. And you might have to get a little bit creative. So when they're in their room just watching YouTube all day, you might have to get a little bit creative and say something like, hey, I need your help. I'm going to the store. I need you to help me pick something out. They come with you because you need them. You ask them for their help. Something to look at. Then you sneak in to McDonald's and get a McFlurry, and you use that opportunity to engage and ask them, so how is it? Oh, let me get you a McFlurry while we're out. And you put a little sneaky on them so that you can spend time with them and engage with them in that way. You're going to have to get a little bit creative.
And I think some of it as well, we have found in the teenage years that when they want to engage, it's often in an inconvenient time, or it's not when we've planned it. But you realize you have to grab those opportunities. So when you see that they ask a question or they make a comment and you know that's an invitation for engagement or spending time together or connection, then you take that opportunity. So you don't let the opportunity miss. And I think you also find, so like Drew was saying, playing video games with Jonas, there might be things that your children are really interested in, but you're actually not so interested in. But you got to find those connection points with them. So even if you are not interested in it, do it with them, because it's not about that thing. It's about loving your child and wanting to connect with them. So find those connection points with them and pursue them, meet them where they're at, especially in the preteen and teenage years with what they're doing. And find those ways to connect.
Okay, we got a question here. I think I just saw Togo raised a question. Let me get to you. Here we go. Togo, how do you avoid imposing your personality on your child, sometimes without really meaning it? I find that I do that with my son. He is way different than I am.
That's
wow.
a good question, Togo.
Togo, I am the king of imposing my personality on my children. I'm like probably not the person to ask. This is what I do. I do this all the time.
No, this is good because you're aware of it. So
I am very much aware of it. And there are times when I had to say to my kids, okay, this is my preference. That's a key word. This is what I would prefer because it's who I am. But what would you prefer? This is what I want to do. That word preference is really, really key. So it's not, you're putting it out there as this is something that I like. As opposed to this is something that you need to like and this is my preference. So I would prefer that we play this or do this game or engage in this way. What would you like to do? I think is a great way to approach that. But we all do it. And I think owning that with our kids, especially as they get older and they can understand. I mean, I've had moments where all of our kids, I was like planning, I really love spending time as a family, and I get my expectations up all the time. And so we're gonna play some family game. We're really big on family games. And I like that we're gonna have a family game afternoon, and then the kids get busy, or because they're teenagers, they've organized another event that they're gonna do with their friends. So they're not even gonna be in the house, they're gonna leave. And there's a couple of times where I just got really almost kind of my heart hurt, like I've been planning this and you don't even, and the kids, kind of felt bad. And we've had to just kind of sit down and I've had to say, God, I'm sorry that I've gotten in a mood. I'm imposing my plans and my desires on you. And I know that you're getting your own desires and your own wants and your own needs with your friends. So let's plan a little bit better. And let's talk about what you want to do and what I want to do, and let's try and share some of that space together. That helped me, especially as in the early teenage years.
And I think as Drew said, we all do that, and it's often hard to think outside of who we are. But I think it's also asking God to show you the beauty of their uniqueness. And I think we found our kids are so different from each other, and they're so different from us as well. And we've learned so much from their differences. So even as they grow, you learn to appreciate so much more their differences. Because sometimes we can see if someone's different, it feels like potentially a weakness that they have. When actually it's probably a strength. It's just in a different way from
Yes.
ours. So I think just learning about who they are for who they are, celebrating those strengths in them, as well as celebrating the strengths in your other children, and even talking about that, how we're all different, but how beautiful and amazing
Very good.
that God has put us together so we can all learn from each other. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really good. If you want ideas of how to play games with them, by the way, we do have our top pick for the different age groups at heartshapedministries.com. You can go to the parenting page. So there's a parenting hub. If you go to the parenting hub and go onto resources, click on the resources, you will see some printables there, all of that for you, and some ideas of games. And there's more printables coming, actually. We're busy creating lots, all the kind of life skills that your kids need, and chore ideas, and all sorts of stuff like that. So please connect there. Is there another question? Let's see, we might have time for one more question if somebody wants to ask. Also, just as that's coming up, let me remind you again, you can get 50% off the online courses. There are 2 courses. One is we have 5.5 hours of content in that one course, and the other is like 3.5 hours of content. You can get them as a bundle. You can get them separately, and they're 50% off, but you have to type in Facebook, okay? Type in Facebook and you will get that thing. So I have not seen another question, or am I missing one? So I scroll up. Any other questions that might be coming up that we want to speak about? In the coming weeks, we are going to talk about discipline and creative discipline ideas. So we want to hit that in the next couple of weeks. So be sure and tune in for something very interesting around that. And then we're going to just see as we go. If you have questions and you want us to answer them, then pop onto Facebook, send us a message. You can get us on Instagram. You can get us on YouTube. Just get a hold of us through the website. You can send to info@heartshapedministries.com. And we want to answer your questions, so we will answer them live. So please be sure, if something comes up in the week and you want to bring it, we already have Togo, you are coming up with lots of questions. I love it. How do you
Lindsay's got one
discipline
as well.
instead of punishing? Ooh, that's a great one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one, and I think we're gonna have to leave that for the next time around. So I know you're gonna be a frequent visitor in Togo, because I know your kids.
Because we know you.
No, I mean I
We know where you live.
we know where you live. But we might. That is quite a big
But we could
topic.
talk
We
about
do
that
need to save that one. Great.
Lindsay asked tips for helping kids through COVID anxiety. That's a big one as well. So maybe we can also chat about that more next week.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one.
That would be a good one. So
maybe we can touch on it briefly, and then we'll start to close up.
Yeah, so just quickly, like for us, I think my kids have experienced it in different ways. So some of them have seemed absolutely fine, not even worried. And I thought they were fine. Other times I could see anxiety and different things coming out in kind of different areas. And so some of the things that we did is we are trying to make sure we are not always speaking negatively about it. We find we talk about COVID a lot in front of the kids as well, talking about, and I do this as well, talking about the stats, talking about what's happening. So we want them to be aware. We want to be speaking to them about it, but we also want to be speaking in faith, that God has got us, that God is bigger than COVID. So keeping an open line of communication, but also supportive in that. So not avoiding too much negative talk, and being aware that if they're at school, they're probably hearing a lot of that as well. And I've also there's some great websites. There's one called Anxiety Canada, and they have some amazing free resources that I found super helpful. Kind of an anxiety plan, or even that you can work through with kids and teenagers, and just helping them understand how to process things. And that's been very helpful for us. So I think it's being aware our kids do deal with it in different ways, keeping tabs on them, being open communication, letting them know what's going on, but also speaking faith over them and reducing the kind of negative news and intake, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Megan has been really good at some that we could see were dealing with anxiety a bit more. Megan sat down and had more one-on-one and even watched some videos around anxiety with one of our children who could handle those videos and those concepts a little bit more. And then the others, we've just almost had to just spend time in their presence, especially at their bedside at night, stroking their hair, not even talking about COVID-19, but just letting them know it's just this physical touch of everything's going to be okay. Almost kind of going beyond what we would normally do, spending a little bit more time in the evening. Just giving them a little bit more physical touch, comforting type of things,
Like being sure you're emotionally connected to them, because I think it's a crazy time for us as parents. And can I just say, well done to you parents?
Yes.
You are parenting in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. So this is big.
It's not easy.
Parenting is tough without being in the middle of a worldwide pandemic and worrying about job security and worrying about finances in school. So I think as parents we're doing a lot as well. So I think a good way also to manage your children. So making sure you're giving space, and that you're giving yourself lots of grace, and that you take it a day at a time. And we have definitely been riding those days of lockdown and COVID-19. We've had amazing days with the family, and we've had really bad days as well. So we are all in the same boat. You're not alone. You got to take things a day at a time.
Again, that would be another topic would be great to talk about as parents, how you handle some of the challenges in your own hearts so that you can be prepared to handle them for your children. The big idea tonight was you want to aim at shaping their hearts, not just disciplining their behavior, not just getting peace in the house. You go beyond that. If you aim beyond it, there was this cheesy saying when I grew up, I remember, I think, who was it from Motown or something? And they would say, you shoot for the moon, and even if you miss it, you're still amongst the stars. And it just comes to mind.
Don't quote us on that.
Don't quote me on that. But if you shoot for their hearts, you actually end up getting so much more. If you shoot for their behavior, if you work from the outside in, you won't necessarily get their hearts. You want to get their hearts first, and the behavior goes. That's the way the gospel works for us. That's what that's his parenting way, God's parenting way. He goes for our hearts first. So remember that big idea, and let's see if it can start shaping your thoughts. There were some good questions, Janice. We're not going to be able to get to this one. How do you get...
We're going to write them down.
...your oldest child to speak to your younger siblings in a respectful manner, not shouting or aggressive? We'll try and answer that again at another time. So come back next week. We so appreciate you putting these questions up there. Can I also mention that if you want to listen to this, we're going to be putting it on podcasts. So we just now getting the podcast channel going, but by the end of this week, this session should be on podcast, and we'll start trying to put all the sessions on so you can share it in an easier format or just an audio format if you want to go back and listen to it. We'll start doing podcasts as well, so be looking for that. Again, please visit us at heartshapedministries.com and see what that's all about. Check out our e-courses. You'll get a lot more in those e-courses than you will here. But we're so grateful that you tuned in. Our prayer was that we would get at least 20 people, and we have achieved that. So thank you for being an answer to prayer for us tonight, and we hope that this can grow. But mostly, we really just hope that we can serve you well. We have been praying for this moment. Yesterday, we just spent some time praying specifically for the parents that would come on to this tonight, this Facebook Live launch. We've been praying for you. Specifically, we're praying for your children. We're praying for your hearts. And we will keep praying for you. It's so great to see your names. We now know some of your names. So we're going to be holding you up in prayer this week. Tune in next Wednesday. We're going to be back again, answer some of those questions. And we'll see how long we can go with this and be a blessing to people. As long as we can bless and it's working for people and it's helping, we'll be here. So thank you so much.
Great to see you guys.
Great to have you here. Thanks again for being a part of our very first Facebook Live. Thank you so much from Heart Shape Ministries. Bless you.
Bye.